When Tom comes to you and explains the latest stunt in Mission Impossible, is there a point where you begin to question his sanity?
I just let him get on with it, to be honest. I mean, it never gets explained to us. We're just on set, and then suddenly, he falls out of the sky. Um, I'm kind of what I've learned about making these films is that there's nothing mad about them. Everything is so cleverly constructed and put together and done with the utmost care and love of the audience, really, in a way. And even though the stunts might seem crazy, he's probably the most sane person I know.
Do you still own Darth Vader's pants?
Do I still own Darth? Did I ever?
Well, you were quoted as saying you bought Darth Vader's pants at an auction a couple
No,
of years ago.
I bought a helmet. I bought a helmet at auction.
Oh, okay.
Which was a customized Vader helmet as part of an art project, which is called the Vader Project, when a lot of artists took Darth Vader's helmet and kind of customized it. And I bought an amazing Dan and Dan illustrated Vader helmet.
Okay,
I don't know how that became pants, Dewey. I think that's a bizarre kind of like whisper that's gone wrong.
No, I don't know how it became either, because I have the article of where I pulled it from. But in terms of collectibles, do you still collect your own action figures?
Only my own, yeah. But you would, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would. If I was cool enough to have your own action figure, my own action figure, excuse me, I would have every one of my Funkos, every one of my action figures. I would imagine your collection has gotten big, though.
It's only going to get bigger because they've just announced a line of Luck toys, which is really exciting because it means I get to add to my little shelf of. My daughter calls it my shrine. I wouldn't call it a shrine. I don't worship at it, but I do have all of my toys in one place.
And if you can indulge me one more thing, then I promise we'll get to the movie. What is your number one pride and joy in the quote unquote shrine that you make sure it's in the right position and it's in pristine condition out of all your collectibles?
I think probably, oh man, that's a hard one. I do have, it's not a collectible, in that it's the only one. I do have the nose of Unkar Plutt, my Star Wars character, in a glass case where when I ripped off the silicon mask, I've got his nose and it's in a glass case. When you first look at it, you're like, what the hell's that? It looks like a body part. It is a body part, but not the one that you think it is.
Let's start from the beginning. What attracted you to this project?
Well, I think I got the script for Luck, or an offer for it via email, and it came with a sort of a visual description of the world and of Bob and the concept of the movie. So it was really looking at it and seeing this incredibly complex, beautifully realized world that they come up with for the land of luck, good and bad, and the whole idea of this sort of dimension where luck is doled out to the human world. It just felt like a really fun idea, and not least because it was underpinned by some really genuinely important kind of messages about connection and love and hope and the kind of the real forces behind what luck is.
Now, I have realized for the last couple minutes I've been calling it the wrong name, so I apologize. No, my wife subtly in the corner is like showing me a sign that says it's called. So these things happen. Now, in terms of the process of recording, now are you in a booth or is there a team watching you record? I mean, how does that take place?
Well, this film was made in during the pandemic, so we had to kind of improvise. And what happened was I would have some sound engineers come out to my house. They would create a makeshift studio in a soundproof room in my house. And then I would have a Zoom link with LA and an engineer in London. And that's how we would do the voice session. It would be a kind of a makeshift. Usually you go into a studio and you do it, even if you do it via live link to a different country. Usually I'm in the UK and I'm speaking to my directors and producers in America. With this, I was just doing it from home. So for me, it was really nice because I didn't have to go anywhere.
Now, in terms of the project itself, has your daughters seen it? Seen the film?
She has not seen it yet, but she will. She saw the trailer that came up on Apple TV Plus when I wasn't home. She like video called me and went, "Hey, Dad, this is you." She's a bit more of a horror movie buff now. Like she would probably be more inclined to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, or The Shining. But with Father in one of the title roles, or rather one of the main roles, she may give it a look. Yes.
Now, is she at a point now where she understands your popularity and your fame? I got to imagine it's got to be very different for children growing up in that environment.
Yeah, I think she's 13. I think the thing that amazes her the most is that like she'll see something about me on TikTok, and that's like, "Dad, there's someone who's made a video about you on TikTok." That's the most impressive thing to her because obviously she's from a different era. But yeah, she gets it. She's super cool, you know. She's not sort of fazed by it at all in any way.
Well, I mean, you're just her dad. I mean, at
Exactly. At the end of the day, I'm just uncool dad.
Yeah, when I told my son I was speaking to the man behind the cat and Luck, he just walked away and looked at his iPad. So I mean, that's just be a fatherhood in a nutshell. Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
I will be raked over the coals if I don't ask you about Star Trek. So, do you have any update about Star Trek?
No. I genuinely don't. I'm not being coy. I know as much as you do. I've read the things online, and as far as I know, it's a distinct possibility. But it's all dependent on schedules and you know and a script, all that kind of stuff. So the status remains the same. Could be, but we don't know.
Did you ever get a chance to speak with Jimmy Doohan before he passed?
I did, weirdly enough. A year before I was cast as Scotty, I met him at a convention. He was very frail, and it was right towards the end of his life. But we did have a little moment together. Neither of us knowing that, you know, one day I would play the role that he made famous, which I look back on as being a distinctly lucky moment, to bring it back to luck.
Absolutely. I mean, in terms of dialects, you can overdo it when you're playing a character that people are familiar, like with Scotty. And in terms of this film, Luck, you obviously go from one character to the next. How do you distinguish when it's too much going one direction and have to maybe pull it back? Because you could certainly go over the top with the Scottish accent.
Well, I think with Bob, because he is, you know, the myth is that, and it's true folklore, is that in Scotland black cats are unlucky, and in black cats are lucky in Scotland and unlucky in England. So he had to be played as a very broad Scot. My wife is Scottish and my family is Scottish, so I was able to sort of channel their regional accent, which is sort of Glaswegian. It's like sort of kind of the Midwest of Scotland, which is where my Scotty accent comes from as well, because that's the accent I know. And then, you know, the change that goes about with Bob, we won't go into it too much because obviously it's a big spoiler, but that was just about trying to create something that was very different to what, you know, you'd got used to during the process of the movie.